guys, it's Claire Akin with the Fiddle Leaf Fig Plant Resource Center, and today I want to walk you through what's wrong with my fiddle leaf fig and give you photos to identify exactly what's wrong with your plant. Now, a lot of times there are different problems with fiddle leaf figs that can be kind of challenging to read about and identify. Sometimes the easiest way is just to look at a picture and say, yes, that is what is wrong with my plant, and then I'll tell you exactly what to do and how to treat it. The first thing that we want to tackle is yellow fiddle leaf fig leaves, and so this can happen for a variety of reasons. And so take a look at some of the pictures of yellow leaves. The main cause of this is not enough light, and it can also be a lack of nutrients or a lack of fertilizer. And so an easy way to determine the cause is just kind of decide, whether or not your plant is getting enough light, and if it's not, move it to a sunnier area, see if it improves. And if it is getting enough light, then you want to check to make sure you're fertilizing it. And so these plants do grow pretty quickly and they have big leaves, and so you want to fertilize it every single time you water. We have a fiddle leaf fig plant food that's designed for that. You just put it into your watering can and you use it every time you water, so they get that slow, steady dose of nutrients that keeps them dark green and gorgeous and supports new growth. So the next thing I want to talk about is basically yellowing because of not lack of sunlight and not lack of nutrients, but because the soil is too acidic. And so that's the third cause of yellowing leaves. What you want to do there is use a moisture meter or a soil meter to check the pH of your soil. And so we sell a 3-way soil meter that checks moisture, sunlight, and acidity. And so fiddle leaf figs like an acidity or a pH of 6 or greater. So go ahead and use the soil meter and check. If it's a 5.5 or below, that's going to cause some yellowing, lack of growth, and just sort of an unhappy plant. And so that could be the cause of your yellowing leaves. So it's important just to check with your soil meter to make sure, and follow the steps on basically the problem of too much acidity is to make your soil more alkaline. We have a video and some resources on that I will link below. The next problem is white spots on your fiddle leaf fig. So these kind of look like hard water or mineral deposits. Often plants come with these from the nursery. So what this is caused by is hard water that evaporates on your plant and leaves these white spots. Or it can also be caused by what's called guttation. So when a plant actually releases its own water or its own sap and then it dries, it can create these hard water spots. You can clean them regularly. We have actually a leaf armor and a leaf shine product that you can use to clean and shine your fiddle leaf fig leaves. And so it's just important to rinse them off with clean water and make sure that you keep them clean so that they can breathe, they can respirate, and that they can do photosynthesis. The next thing I want to cover is sunburn on fiddle leaf fig leaves. And so this is just like humans, plants can get sunburned. And so it's pretty obvious when you see this that may be what your plant has. The telltale thing is that your plant will only have sunburn typically on the top leaves, and so the leaves that kind of see the sunlight, and it won't be on the bottom leaves. Unfortunately, it won't recover, so you just want to snip those leaves off and keep it out of the full sun. You can acclimate a fiddle leaf fig to full sun, and we have a full video on how to do that, but you just want to make sure that it's a process done gradually. The next thing I want to talk about is holes in the leaves. And so this will happen, the first reason this happens is kind of a physical trauma. So if it's super windy, or if you move your fiddle leaf fig and the leaves get bent or cracked, those can cause holes in the leaves as they kind of scab over and recover. The second reason is insects. And so you want to really check your plant for insects. If it looks like the holes have been eaten in a circle, or if you're noticing things like kind of spider webs from spider mites, or if you actually see insects on your leaves, that's the telltale sign. So what you want to do to treat that is spray it with either neem oil or our leaf armor product. That product protects against fungus, against insects, against bacteria, and it keeps your plant to hold more of its own moisture. So it's a great product to just really improve the overall health of your fiddle leaf fig. So you definitely want to shower off your plant if it has insects, and then spray it with some kind of a treatment and some kind of a protectant for the future. The next thing I want to talk about is the most common cause of problems with your fiddle leaf fig, and that is brown spots, dropping leaves, and root rot. And so this is probably 90% of the emails and the questions that we get are caused by root rot. And so the telltale sign here is that your plant has black or brown spots that are spreading, its leaves are dropping, and kind of this pattern of brown spots is happening all over your plant, not just in some areas like on the top leaves where, that's where a sunburn would happen. Root rot really can kill your plant in a hurry, and it's something you want to treat really, really quickly as soon as you notice it. So the treatment for root rot is giving your plant more light, but most importantly, stopping overwatering and making sure your plant has proper drainage. And so we make a fiddly fig soil that drains perfectly. So you want to repot your fiddly fig in a proper soil that's fast draining. Make sure it has proper drainage and don't water too often. Use your moisture meter to check how wet it is before you water. And so after you do that, then you can do our root rot treatment. And so this root supplement actually stops an infection within 24 hours. And it helps your plant's root system to recover more quickly, and it protects against future bacterial and fungal infections. And so that's how you want to treat root rot. We have full videos and resources on what to do and how to treat root rot. That's really the most serious problem that we see, and so you want to treat it quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is this weird phenomenon that we don't see too often, but it can be really puzzling when it happens, and that's this kind of puckering or crinkling or ruffling of the fiddly fig leaves. And so we'll insert some photos here, but this is typically due to low humidity. So if your plant is in a really dry area, or if your humidity changes really quickly, if it's next to a heating vent, things like that can cause this kind of puckering of the leaves. You do want to keep your plant in, a relatively humid place. You could use a humidifier. We have a whole video on how much humidity fiddly figs need and what to do if your plant seems dry, so check that out if you feel like this is your problem. The next problem I want to talk about is edema, or these are these tiny little red spots that often happen on the new growth of your plant. And so we'll insert some pictures. You'll probably know it if this is happening to your plant. You'll say, oh, that's it. This is a great problem because it's not a problem at all. It's totally normal. If your plant is having new growth, that means your plant is basically healthy. Edema happens when basically your new leaf gets too much water, but it'll fully recover. The spots will go away, and we have a full video on what to do about edema and why it happens. So click on that below. And so I think the last problem we see is dry fiddly fig leaves. And that is happening when basically the edges get really crispy. And this can happen if your plant gets really hot, really dry. And so it's a little bit different than the root rot spots, which can be dark brown or black. These are kind of a lighter tan. Your plant will look dry. You probably could look at the soil and see that you either forgot to water it or it got very hot. And so dry fiddly fig leaves are cured by overwatering, by maybe repotting. So if your soil has dried out and pulled away from the pot, when you water in the future, the water just runs around the soil. So you may need to repot with a good draining, fluffy, light soil like our fiddly fig potting soil. And then water on a regular basis. We recommend watering on Fiddly Fig Friday. So check that out. Subscribe to our channel so you get notifications every Friday about our new videos, and that will remind you to water your plant. Oh, and then one more thing, one more bonus tip, and we see this sometimes and it can be really tricky to diagnose, and that's drooping fiddly fig leaves. And so we see this once in a while and people are really scared and perplexed by it, and I don't blame them. It looks terrible, but often your plant will recover. And so this happens if you repot your plant or it's basically in shock. So something weird happened. Did you spray it with something different? Did you move it? Did you over fertilize it? Something caused shock in your plant. Most often it's transplanting or repotting. And so the trick here is you just leave it alone for a week, let it recover, and it will typically get better. And then just make a note of whatever you did. Your plant didn't like what you did, and so try to avoid doing that in the future. So I hope this video is helpful. We will link all the resources below. Please subscribe to our channel for all of our Fiddly Fig tips every Fiddly Fig Friday, and shop our store and save 10% with the coupon below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.